Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Amber Alert canceled. Just minutes before our newscast, authorities announced they located a missing one-year-old girl.
And new at noon, Tropical Storm Gabrielle has formed. I'll have a closer look at where it's headed and the big change locally on the way for our weekend.
Interest rate cut possible. The Federal Reserve meets today, and for the first time in 9 months, we could see interest rate cuts. 5 on your side shares 4 smart money moves you should consider.
And RDU lands a new airline. The new destinations passengers can add to their wish list.
We begin this noon with breaking news. The search for a missing 1-year-old girl is over. Just moments before we went on air, the state canceled an Amber Alert for a girl who was last seen in Randolph County.
Now, the sheriff's office issued that alert just before 11 o'clock this morning for Iris Fargas. Investigators say she might have been with Tyler Tootle, who had ties to Sampson County.
Authorities say they did find the girl. Laura Levine is in the WRAL Live Center with what she's learned in the last 10 minutes. Laura.
There's still so many questions in this investigation. In the last hour, many of you may have received this Amber Alert on your phones. Authorities were looking for this 1-year-old girl here. Her name is Iris. They say that she was believed to be with this gentleman here, 26-year-old Tyler Tootle. And we know that right now, investigators are in Sampson County. Right now, we're working to learn if this vehicle you see here that's being towed away has any connection because that little girl was found in Sampson County. Right now, we're trying to get confirmed if this vehicle has any connection to the suspect, Tyler Tootle. So, of course, once we get more answers here in the WRAL Live Center, we'll be sure to update you here.
Laura, thank you. New at noon, Tropical Depression number 7 has strengthened into a tropical storm.
Yeah, we have meteorologist Kat Campbell here in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. So, Kat, break down what we know so far about Tropical Storm Gabrielle.
Well, it's no surprise that this strengthened into a tropical storm. We've been telling you about it for quite a few days now. Maximum sustained winds are at 45 miles per hour. It jumped a little bit to the north with a new advisory that came in just at 11 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center. Here's the official forecast track carrying it to the northwest. It starts to make a turn to the north over the weekend and could strengthen into a hurricane, a Category 1, as that happens. Interests in Bermuda should monitor the progress of Gabrielle. That'll be something to watch. But for us in the U.S., I'm not too concerned, and this is why. We've got a pretty strong Bermuda high to the east. That is going to be the main steering mechanism for Gabrielle, and the model plots all carry it to the north toward the beginning of next week. Also, we've got a trough and a front moving in from the west, I should say, and that should swing east and protect the U.S. We'll keep an eye on it for you, though, in the meantime. We're still keeping an eye on this coastal low. It's just sitting, spinning, bringing some light rain toward the northern part of our viewing area, mainly at this point around Warrenton, Carr Lake, seeing some of that light rain, Lake Gaston as well, but rain chances gradually taper off during the afternoon. Even then, it's just drizzle and mist, so I wouldn't expect after-school practices really to be impacted, but the cool temperatures are sticking around. Temperatures are sitting in the 60s in the Triangle Points north, a little bit warmer in Fayetteville and Clinton, where we've seen some sunshine today. I'll have a closer look at your weekend forecast coming up.
Sounds good. Kat, thank you. State Treasurer Brad Briner says he might have to raise premiums for everyone on the state health plan. This all stems from Duke Health and Aetna Insurance. They're in a contract dispute. Duke wants Aetna to pay higher rates. Aetna is threatening to drop Duke from its network. Coming up in our next half hour, WRAL government reporter Will Doran explains the delicate dance to keep prices affordable.
The Fed is expected to lower interest rates for the first time since December. And 5 on your side's Keely Arthur is live with what this means for your budget. I mean, Keely, this is something that affects people in terms of what they want to do in regard to getting maybe a loan.
Chris, so much is happening right now. The wind is blowing, the fall leaves are coming down, and change is probably afoot for interest rates. This is going to affect everything from credit cards to the housing market, really any part of your wallet. I want to talk to you first about how this is going to impact your credit cards. So for credit cards, if the interest rate goes down, we're not going to see a huge drop in how much you owe. Right now, the average interest rate for a credit card is 20%. So instead of waiting for the rate to drop significantly, it's probably only going to go about a 0.25 percentage drop today. I want you to pay your balances down as much as you can. Look at those credit cards that have the highest interest rates and attack those. Something you can do is go to a 0% card, transfer all your money to that, or you can consolidate your debt with a low interest personal loan. Next, let's talk about savings accounts. Now, if the interest rate drops today by the Fed, that is not necessarily good for your savings account. That means that you're going to have less interest accruing on the account, and that's going to go down. So lock into a certificate of deposit. That is going to allow you to get a fixed rate so you can maintain whatever interest rate you're at there. And finally, the housing market. This is the big news. It's probably going to have the biggest benefit by this rate cut. Mortgage rates have already dropped to a 3-year low this week, about 6.2%, down from more than 7% earlier this year. Experts say lower rates could unlock frozen sales and get more buyers back into the market. So some very exciting news. We're going to hear at 2:30 what the Fed decides to do. But regardless of what they decide, I want you to know that really the biggest factor in your ability to borrow money, whether it's for mortgage, credit card, a regular savings account, anything like that, the biggest factor is your credit score. So get that in check, and that's going to give you a lot more purchasing power. We're going to give you live updates on what the Fed decides on WRAL News. Reporting live in Raleigh, Keely Arthur.
And we do want to take a look at stocks and how that relates to the Fed's announcement. And we can look and see right here that the Dow Jones is up 329 points there. We have the S&P 500 up 6 and the NASDAQ down 116 points there. One thing tech companies are looking at right now is a report that China has banned AI chips. So we'll be watching that.
Want to get away? You now have another international travel option. Today, Irish airline Aer Lingus announced new service from RDU to Dublin. WRAL's Ken Smith joins us now. And Ken, that new direct flight is just one of several big changes in store for RDU.
Yeah, Renee, RDU leaders were downright giddy today, touting the new airline and destination, along with the construction of a new runway, the expansion of Terminal 2, and widening John Brantley Boulevard, the main road into RDU. So let's talk about this new international destination, Dublin. It's RDU's 8th international destination and the 11th new airline to serve the Triangle in the last 4 years. Now, by the numbers, RDU's president and CEO says transatlantic travel from RDU grew by 18% from 2023 to 2024. Michael Langguth says growth across the Triangle is spurring the airport to gain new service and expand its facilities.
So a combination of business investment plus people moving in makes me feel comfortable about we're on the right plan. We need to make our investment. We need to continue to grow. We need to meet the long-term air service growth that we have here in this region, and we're doing it today. We're going to expand out Terminal 2. We're going to build a runway to meet that demand.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be plenty of demand for Ireland as a destination. The Dublin service is set to launch in April of next year. And get this, Aer Lingus also announced today the airline will fly UNC's football team to Dublin for the Tar Heels opening week matchup against TCU next season.
Yeah, perfect timing for that. Ken, thank you. Americans' credit scores are falling at the fastest rate since the Great Recession more than 15 years ago. According to FICO, the average score dropped by 2 points this year. The analytics company found borrowers are behind on credit cards, car payments, and other loans. For young people, it's a 1-2 punch of high student debt and low entry-level hiring. Gen Z saw the biggest drop, with credit scores losing an average of 3 points.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, President Trump and the First Lady have been spending the day at Windsor Castle, really getting the royal treatment. Take a look at this as they were greeted by everyone there. The pomp and splendor of a royal occasion was on full display as King Charles III and Queen Camilla welcomed the Trumps and joined them for a carriage ride before lunch. Now, joined by First Lady Melania Trump at St. George's Chapel on the castle grounds, the president placed a wreath in honor of Elizabeth, who died in 2020. 2022. Later, he met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as the chief of staff there. Now, all of this pomp and pageantry is really deliberate right now because as we have an opening day of ceremony, the business begins tomorrow when they meet with Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Wake County deputies say a 17-year-old driver experienced a mental health crisis leading to a crash. And that happened around 2 a.m. on Falls of Noose Road near Wakefield Pines Drive. Deputies noticed the truck driving recklessly and tried to perform a traffic stop. The driver hit a deputy's patrol car, causing minor damage, but no one was seriously injured. Deputies were able to get the teenager the appropriate help. A second person arrested in connection with a shooting that killed 2 people in Wilson appeared in court this morning. Tiffany Chestnut is accused of helping the other suspect escape arrest, and she is charged with accessory after the fact, altering, stealing, and destroying criminal evidence. She's being held on a $30,000 secured bond.
Classes resumed today at Utah Valley University, 1 week after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed on the school's campus. University employees, including student workers, returned to campus on Monday. All in-person and online classes resumed today. Students will notice more police on campus. Mental health counselors are also available in person to help them heal. Students can also take advantage of free virtual counseling.
I'm more emotional than I thought I would be. I just kind of have a pit in my stomach because it's real now. Because I wasn't on campus on Wednesday. I was doing an internship, and now being here, it's like, wow, that's real. This actually happened. And so it just kind of hit me.
A vigil for unity will be held at the school Friday afternoon. Prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty against Kirk's accused killer, Tyler Robinson.
A Fayetteville man charged with shooting 2 people, killing 1, is being held under no bond. And this happened just before 11 p.m. last Thursday on Caledonia Circle near Murchison Road. Officers found a man and a woman who were shot. Tamika Tyler died, and the other victim was taken to the hospital. Officers arrested Quantavious Page, and he is charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. Close call car crash. See more of the moment when a man just barely escaped an out-of-control car hitting his truck.
Baby food recall. Parents, this brand of food pouches might contain high lead levels. The flavors you'll want to return to the store.
And Duke it out. The fight to negotiate an insurance deal between Duke Health and Aetna Insurance that affects everyone with a state health insurance plan. An in-studio recap. That's just minutes away.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Right now, former CDC Director Susan Menares is testifying before a Senate Health Committee. She's detailing her abrupt firing by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. NBC's Ryan Nobles shares a preview of her prepared remarks.
Today, the fired director of the nation's top public health agency set to share her story with Congress. Dr. Susan Menares, a Trump appointee, was ousted as director of the CDC by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in August, less than a month after she was confirmed.
I will ensure all recommendations are backed by publicly available gold standard science.
According to a copy of her prepared remarks obtained by NBC News, Menares will tell a Senate panel that she, quote, was fired for holding the line on scientific integrity, saying the HHS secretary told her he could not trust her, as the two clashed over his efforts to reshape the CDC's vaccine advisory panel. Menares adding, quote, I had refused to commit to approving vaccine recommendations without evidence, fire career officials without cause, or resign. I told the secretary that if he believed that he could not trust me, he could fire me. Kennedy, a longtime skeptic of vaccines, offered a different account earlier this month.
You tell the head of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign?
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no.
All this ahead of tomorrow's meeting of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee, after the agency said the COVID vaccine is only needed for older and high-risk Americans, prompting more than a dozen states to go around the CDC. the turmoil leading to new uncertainty for doctors and patients.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we have an update to that high school football shooting that took place when Tarboro High School was playing Southwest Edgecombe High School. Authorities now saying they have a juvenile suspect in custody. All of this is new into our newsroom within the past 5 minutes. Now, we know the investigation is ongoing, but you may recall this all took place on Friday night when a game was going on. The two teams were playing, and witnesses say that there was some type of altercation that happened at the concession stand, and that's when shots fired, and you can see many people running off that field, including the football players. So again, we know now that authorities have a juvenile suspect in custody, partnering with Raleigh police to take this person into custody without incident. Because he's a juvenile, they have not released his name. They say this investigation, again, is ongoing. They're asking anyone with any video footage from that night to please give police a call.
All right, thank you, Laura. And breaking news that we're following, a man accused of deliberately driving a vehicle into a fence at an FBI office in Pittsburgh is in custody. This happened this morning at the main entrance. The suspect is a former member of the military with a history of mental health issues. Agents say that Donald Henson left the car, took an American flag from the trunk, and then stuck it on the gate. The FBI says this was a targeted attack on the Bureau. And you have to see this video showing the moment a rural Nebraska man narrowly escaped an out-of-control car. You'll see it right there, the arrow that's pointing in the corner. So the man was basically washing his windshield at a gas station, and that is when he realized a car was coming right for him right there. Goodness gracious, he ran so fast there, and he did have some minor injuries. He's okay, though. The driver of the car was also treated for minor injuries. That person faces charges for reckless driving and no driver's license, among other things.
Just terrifying. Tropical storm Gabrielle formed earlier this morning, and we first told you about that on the WRAL News app. The WRAL weather team sent this push alert at 4:44 this morning when it was a tropical depression number 7. But there might be more activity in the weeks that follow. Meteorologist Chris Michaels shows us the one key global factor that could lead to more systems in the Atlantic.
And that key factor has somewhat of a funky sounding name. It's called the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO. Let's boil it down. This is a group of storms in the tropics that moves east across the globe, and it works in different phases. And where you're located during these phases will determine whether or not you see large-scale rising air, which is your storminess, or large-scale sinking air, which is your drier air and your calmer weather. So over the past few weeks, this MJO has been in a phase such that the tropics have been pretty dry and pretty quiet, but there's some data suggesting that we could start to switch phase and things may start to turn a little stormier, specifically in the western Atlantic. We'll need to watch out for that just because, especially in the southern Gulf, the Bay of Campeche, there's some very warm water still to work with. And as many of you guys know, you can see these storms deep into the season, into the month of October. So where do we usually see those storms developing? We're answering that question right now on Ask the Meteorologist on WRAL.com.
And while they're following that closely, we're still looking at a lot of the overcast that we have in the skies there, Kat. Even there in downtown Raleigh, you can see a lot of cloud coverage.
A lot of cloud cover hanging on today. We've seen improvements across the southern part of our viewing area, but Raleigh is really the cutoff line. There is some brightness between the cloud cover, and we'll continue to see some on and off kind of periods of breaks in the clouds. But here's that edge of the cloud cover. All the white that you see, that's the thick cloud cover across the northeastern part of our area, while the Sandhills and the southern part of our area is seeing a lot of sunshine today. It's creating an interesting temperature setup for us. Mid-70s for Fuquay Varina, Holly Springs, just 68 though in Raleigh, 66 in Nightdale, and 64 in Wake Forest, where there's a lot more cloud cover at the moment. For this afternoon at the bus stop, still a lot of lingering clouds around the triangle. Temperatures will be in the mid-70s, so very comfortable feeling outside, but most of the drizzle should be over for the triangle by then. However, there could still be a little bit of light rain right along the North Carolina-Virginia border as the kids are heading home from school today. For the evening commute, it's just a 20% chance for rain. And tonight, we see the clouds break and partly cloudy skies return to the forecast. Our area of low pressure, this coastal low, just sitting, spinning, hanging out, and barely moving over southeastern Virginia. But let's talk tropics. We're watching Tropical Storm Gabrielle that formed about an hour ago, and then another area with a low chance of developing. The model plots for Gabrielle continue to carry the system to the north and west, making a turn toward the north and perhaps close to Bermuda, which is right around here early next week. That turn to the north, of course, is important in keeping it away from the U.S., but this is why we expect that to happen. The main steering feature initially is going to have to go in between these two areas of high pressure. That'll just slow it down a bit, but this is the stronger of the high pressure systems, so that's what's likely to make that turn to the north with Gabrielle. But we also have a trough and perhaps a front that swing through from west to east early next week and should also help to steer Gabrielle out to sea. We will let you know if anything changes, but right now I'm not particularly concerned about U.S. impacts. Gabrielle formed, that's our latest storm, about a third of the way through the names on this year's hurricane list. The next one will be Humberto, and hopefully we see things quiet down after this one, at least for a small period of time. For tonight, lows dip into the upper 50s to lower 60s. It'll be a really comfortable start tomorrow morning. Tomorrow features more sunshine than today, mid 80s for highs, and then it's hot Friday. Not humid though. 88 without humidity isn't quite as bad. It will be mostly sunny, and into Saturday, this weekend, staying warm. The start of fall is Monday. Temperatures could cool off just a little bit by then, but we won't quite have that crisp air in place.
Okay, but we'll slowly get there for sure. Kat, thank you. Impersonating your boss, coming up this afternoon at 4, a scam warning, why criminals are pretending to be your boss and how they're stealing money.
And cancer fight. Miss North Carolina 2024 is raising awareness after a recent stomach cancer diagnosis. How she's staying stronger during her fight. That's at 5:30. Microsoft says it interrupted a phishing scheme that would put millions of users at risk. A judge allowed Microsoft to seize 340 websites tied to a Nigerian scheme. Raccoon Zero 365 emails offered subscription-based phishing kits to anyone with technical skills. Basically, it would allow users to mimic official Microsoft communications and steal credentials. Since July 2024, the kits were used to steal at least 5,000 credentials worldwide.
We have 2 recalls to tell you about. The first involves Sprout Organics. The company is recalling 3.5-ounce pouches of its sweet potato, apple, and spinach baby food due to possibly high lead levels. The product was sold mainly at Walgreens and some independent stores. No other Sprout Organics products are affected. You can return the product to the store for a full refund, and so far, no illnesses have been reported. The next recall involves Costco's house brand of Prosecco. Get this, unopened bottles of the Kirkland Signature Prosecco could shatter even when left on a shelf and not being handled. Customers will get a full refund. However, the company is asking for the bottles to be safely discarded instead of returning them to the store.
A sense of normalcy and joy. That is the mission behind a project underway in Apex. Cornerstone Building Brands partnered with Rock Solid Foundation to build and donate a custom backyard playset. 11-year-old Holly Lyon is courageously battling leukemia. And a small army of volunteers pitched in this morning to provide a safe place for them to play.
Having something that she can do in her backyard and not have to walk to and from a car or anything is amazing, because she just doesn't always feel good enough to go anywhere.
By being able to bring a playset, build a playset for them in their own backyard, it's a real blessing to the family.
Because a weakened immune system often prevents children with leukemia from playing in public spaces, the backyard playset gives them a safe, private, and fun space to be a kid again. It's amazing. Health plan standoff. State employees could be forced to dig deeper to cover insurance premiums.
And addressing the disconnect. Coming up, a look at the bold effort designed to meet the needs of young men and boys. And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Could state employees see their health care premiums rise again? That's the concern some state leaders have as Duke Health and insurance company Aetna battle over pricing. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran spoke with State Treasurer Brad Briner about what this could mean for state workers and retirees. Will joins us now here in the studio. And Will, didn't the state health plan already raise premiums?
You know, Renee, they did. The state health plan just voted last month to hike health insurance premiums on nearly all state employees to cover rising costs. And now the state treasurer tells me he's worried that a second hike could be coming. This is going to depend on what exactly happens with the outcome of a contract dispute between two giants in the state's healthcare industry, Duke and Aetna.
And Aetna is a big insurance company. Duke is a big hospital chain. What are they fighting over?
Well, insurance companies and hospitals often renegotiate their contracts that spell out the cost of care, and their current contract is up. Duke is asking Aetna to start kicking in a lot more money now. And Aetna says that Duke is being greedy, but Duke stands by its requests. Here's what Duke told me. Quote, "We are actively engaged in good faith negotiations with Aetna, and we are hopeful we will reach a sustainable agreement."
But as you reported, not everyone agrees with that.
That's right. State Treasurer Brad Briner talked with me. He said that Duke is being far too aggressive on this. He oversees the state health plan, which insures more than 700,000 state workers and retirees.
We want our provider community to be healthy and financially successful. But there's a difference between successful and greedy. And I think we're crossing that line here.
But there's a delicate dance here, too. If Aetna gets too angry with Duke, it could always just take them out of their network entirely. And if that happens, then thousands of people could lose their doctor. And that's not just state employees, but people in the private sector with Aetna insurance, too.
And just a month left for Duke and Aetna to hash this out before that happens. We will certainly be following it closely. Will, thank you for the update.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, we now have an update from the Sampson County Sheriff's Office assisting in locating that missing girl that prompted that Amber Alert. Right now, you're taking a look at this picture of the suspect. This is Tyler Tootle. They now have him in custody for questioning. They were looking for him, and they are now calling this a kidnapping. So just walking you back through some of the details that we have, they say as they were searching for the little girl missing and Tyler as well, who was believed to be with that little girl, they found them in Sampson County, but they tried to do a traffic stop. He refused to slow down, and then that's when they really prompted his vehicle to stop, and that's when they took him into custody. Now, we're still working to gather more details, but I have this quote from the Sampson County Sheriff's Office. It says, "The quick actions of our deputies combined with coordination across county lines brought the situation to a safe conclusion." Of course, we're going to continue to keep you updated here in the WRAL Live Center once we get more answers to our questions.
We know you will, Laura. Thank you. President Trump is in the UK today for his second state visit. The president's visit is happening as our countries work on trade deals and ways to end the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. Here's NBC's Alice Barr.
Hi there. A royal welcome for President Trump and the First Lady here at Windsor Castle, overflowing with the kind of pomp and pageantry that the president loves. That's no coincidence, in a clear effort to strengthen ties between the U.S. and the U.K. This is an unprecedented second state visit for an American president, complete with the traditional carriage rides with members of the royal family and full military honors. In fact, the largest military contingent for a visiting foreign leader in living memory, with more than 1,300 personnel taking part. The president inspecting those troops alongside King Charles. But in a sign of the emphasis on security here, all of the events with the president and the royal family taking place inside the castle walls and out of public view. That also keeps the president away from a small number of protesters here outside Windsor, larger protests in London, supporters here as well. And overnight, 4 people were arrested in connection with giant photos of President Trump and the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein projected on the walls of Windsor Castle. That is in sharp contrast to the royal banquet set to close out the day's events. And tomorrow, President Trump heads to meet with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his country residence. The escalating wars in Gaza and Ukraine will be top of mind, along with refining the U.S.-UK trade deal. From Windsor Castle, Alice Barr, NBC News.
FBI Director Kash Patel returns to Capitol Hill today for a second day of testimony on a range of topics. Today, Patel faces the House Judiciary Committee. Yesterday, the defiant FBI director engaged in fiery exchanges with members of the Senate Judiciary Committee over his handling of Charlie Kirk's killing and investigation. Patel later called it disgusting that people would undermine his experience. Outgoing Senator Tom Tillis begged both parties to reflect on the rhetoric that contributed to Kirk's death.
Within 24 hours of Mr. Kirk's shooting, we had the guy that does the podcast for the War Room and another guy who's denied the Sandy Hook shootings say we're at war. There are people out here on our side of the aisle that still need to look in the mirror.
Today's hearing is expected to focus on Patel's handling of the Epstein files. Lawmakers are expected to revisit his statement before the Senate that there was no credible information that Epstein trafficked young women to others.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is launching a new initiative to give young men a sense of purpose. Newsom signed the statewide executive order creating the California Men's Service Challenge. It calls on 10,000 men to step up as mentors, as coaches, and as tutors. The challenge was created because of rising suicide rates, disconnection, and declining career options. And it's also meant to address this generation's mental health crisis and create pathways for leadership.
We have a crisis in this country of men and boys. And for decades, candidly, we've neglected it because some of us have been scared to enter into the fray, because somehow we felt it was a zero-sum game, that somehow if we're focusing on the needs of men and boys, somehow we're taking away from our advocacy around gender equality, taking our advocacy away from women and girls. So you can understand in many ways that tension.
The announcement happened during a national conversation about the needs of young men in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Newsom noted some conservative groups successfully engage with young men as well.
Healthy food dyes, the natural ingredients researchers are using to come up with food dye that's not chemical-based and even offer added benefits.
And Tesla cars under investigation. Parents who report their children were trapped inside when car doors would not open. The search for answers. And just a reminder, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, outrage and speculation is now growing across the country after the body of a black student at Delta State University in Mississippi was found hanging from a tree. This is Trey Reed. He has been identified as the young man who was hanging from that tree. Now, right now, authorities say that they do not believe there's any reason to believe that there's been foul play in this. However, the NAACP now stepping into the conversation, as well as many other people who are denying that he had died by suicide. Of course, local authorities there, the sheriff's office, as well as the FBI are looking into this case.
Students and researchers at South Dakota State University are working on a patent for making new food dyes. Unlike synthetic food dyes like red number 3, which have been proven unhealthy, the new organic food dye comes from agricultural resources. The team used sugar beet molasses and carbon syrup to grow microorganisms. And once they're dried, they produce a red color. Organic dyes not only offer color, but also provide vitamins, antioxidants, and promote overall gut health. Switching between standard time and daylight saving time may not be good for your health. Stanford University researchers studied how time policies on light exposure and circadian rhythm affect a person's internal clock. They compared illnesses like stroke, diabetes, and depression. And they found that staying in standard time, which prioritizes morning light, was the clear winner, and switching between daylight time and standard time being the worst. The data suggests staying in standard time could help prevent more than 2.5 million cases of obesity. We will switch to standard time on November 2nd.
Auto safety regulators are investigating possible defects in Tesla doors. The inquiry involves nearly 200,000 midsize Model Y SUVs. The government says it received 9 reports of electronic door handles not working, and that happened because of low battery voltage in the 2021 model year. 4 parents say they had to break the windows just to get their children from the back seat. Teslas contain a manual door release inside the car, but it can be kind of hard for children to reach. Scheduling safaris, how one ride-sharing company hopes to capitalize on the popularity of these vacations.
And it's a family affair. We'll introduce you to the newest addition to one family that shares a special day. How they could go down in the record books.
Our Teacher of the Week rediscovered her love for shaping young minds that set her on a new path in academic career. WRAL's Ken Smith surprises a teacher who says teaching first grade is her sweet spot.
So the tally mark song goes 1, 2, 3.
Count on Lauren Golden to go the extra mile every day.
Shuts the door.
To open the minds of her students in her first grade class at Wiley Elementary School, she's had plenty of experience nurturing children.
I grew up right outside of Charlotte, and I was babysitting for a lot of children there. I fell in love with it, and I started working with a little girl with special needs. I fell in love with that as well and decided I was going to go back to school and start my education journey.
Golden is in her 7th year and counting on her education journey.
Okay, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. Kiss your brain. Very good.
She says for her, success is seeing the social, emotional, and academic growth in her students from the first day of school to the last.
My kids, we always talk about our class being a family, and we're a small-knit little community between myself and the students and their parents. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5.
Golden says, like many teachers, she understands students learn at their own pace, and her daily goal is meeting students where they are academically.
They know eventually if they keep working and they're persisting and they're working with Miss Golden and the wonderful teachers at Wiley, they will get it at some point, and when they do, to see how proud they are of themselves is just the best.
Miss Golden, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, someone give Miss Golden a golden star, right? So if you'd like to nominate a teacher there, you can go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
She has such a friendly and nurturing vibe. Uber is launching safaris in the world's only wildlife reserve inside a capital city. So Uber is eyeing a piece of the $4 billion tourism market in Kenya, targeting thousands of business travelers wanting a quick expedition. Now, with Uber Safari, visitors can pre-book day or night adventures at Kenya's Nairobi National Park. Fascinating. Yeah, might want to plan a getaway when it looks like this out there. It's so dreary and cloudy and even rain at Lake Gaston.
That sounds way cooler. A nice travel, experience like that as opposed to this. Lake Gaston is usually gorgeous this time of year, though. I can't wait for the color to change here, the leaves to really start to pop. But today, just dreary, and it's been a lot different in Lake Gaston, Carr Lake, our northern counties and cities, as opposed to the sandhills like Fayetteville and Southern Pines, where our cameras have shown a lot more sunshine. And you can see it is a split across our area. Here's all the cloud cover from Raleigh points north, and the sun is shining for the areas that are shaded darker here, not as much cloud cover. If you're headed to the playground with your family this afternoon, still a chance of a sprinkle up toward the Virginia border, and there's that 20% chance. Otherwise, it's comfortable. Temperatures in the mid-70s and mostly cloudy. Raleigh, though, just sitting at 68 degrees right now, 75 in Fayetteville. As we start to see a little bit more sunshine break through the clouds around Raleigh, we should start to warm up a bit. But low pressure is just sitting, spinning. It's barely moving at all. Later on today, it should finally push east. High pressure builds in, kicks it on out of here, and then comes the sunshine and the warmer weather. Tomorrow, it's our transition day. Friday, it's feeling more like summer again. 88 degrees. The good news with Friday is that the humidity doesn't look all that bad, even though it's pretty hot. By Saturday, mid-80s, mostly sunny, and Sunday, 82 for the high with a small chance for rain. Above normal temperatures stay in the forecast as we get into the end of the month. through October 1st, above normal temperatures are forecast. Only a tiny sliver of below normal temperatures centered right around Seattle. You can barely see it unless I point it out. During that same time frame at the end of the month, below normal rainfall is in the forecast as well. And I am actually concerned about this. We're starting to get to the point where we really need some rain. We're seeing growing abnormally dry conditions in our state. I would not be shocked with Thursday morning, tomorrow morning's drought monitor, if we had some areas that were added to the moderate drought. Our below average rainfall, our deficit, about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches for much of central North Carolina over the past month. We're really starting to get into that phase where we need some rainfall, and there's just not a lot in the forecast. Today, a little bit of rain in our northern counties. It's light. It's not adding up to much or anything significant. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, looking drier. Some small rain chances early next week. We'll need to keep an eye on a front that's likely to move through toward the beginning of next week. That could potentially finally bring some relief in the way of rainfall.
You're so happy. You want pumpkin spice right now, Kat. A big reason to celebrate. 5 generations, 1 birthday. And the family's new additions could just break a Guinness World Record. Their story's up next.
Here are your winning Mega Millions numbers. We have 10, 14, 34, 40, and 43. The gold Mega Ball is 5. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. A 19-month-old at the center of an Amber Alert was found safe in Sampson County. The girl was reported missing out of Randolph County. The sheriff's office says they were able to stop a suspect vehicle using stop sticks on Mitchell Loop Road near Roseboro. And video from Sky 5 shows a charred vehicle in that area. We are reaching out to confirm whether this is the car involved. And deputies say the suspect, 26-year-old Tyler Tootle, was taken to the sheriff's office for questioning. The Amber Alert has now been canceled.
State Treasurer Brad Briner says he might have to raise premiums for everyone on the state health plan. This all stems from Duke Health and Aetna Insurance. They're in a contract dispute. Duke wants Aetna to pay higher rates. Aetna is threatening to drop Duke from its network.
There's a new international destination coming to RDU. Irish airline Aer Lingus announced new service from the Triangle to Dublin. The Dublin service is set to launch in April next year.
Oh, grab a cup of coffee this fall in Times Square with a few friends. The Central Perk Coffee House is coming to New York. It is the second real-life version of the iconic sitcom spot after the popular Boston location. Well, the new Central Perk has a contemporary take on the hot spot, but with some authentic touches there, like the big orange sofa from the original. And I'm sure no one will go visit that, right?
Oh, it will be hopping for sure. September 14th is a big day in one Nebraska household. It is the birthday of their newest member, as well as 4 generations before him. So at birth, little Arthur Bell weighed in at 8 pounds, 13 ounces. Little Arthur is keeping up a family tradition and even has a trophy to mark the occasion. Mom Emma says she is happy to share her birthday as a family. And according to Guinness World Records, the record for the most generations born on the same day is 4, and 7 different families share that distinction. Emma plans to reach out to Guinness to earn the record for 5 consecutive generations born on the same day.
That's a very specific record, but good to them. All right, our pet of the day comes to us from Cat Angels NC. Meet Ivan, who was found wandering in a neighborhood searching for food. Well, this little gentleman right here is ready to meet his match, and his sweet nature and outgoing personality will make him an easy fit for any family. Ivan gets along with other cats, but he hasn't been tested with dogs, though. He may also prefer to have himself a human after all. You can contact Cat Angels' website for more. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL with your next NOCA update in 30 minutes.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.